This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about why ideology is for losers. According to Peter Thiel, competition is for losers. Uh, it makes sense for people that understand the system where we live, which is capitalism, which is the dominant system around the world. Competition is for the poor, is for the ones that are striving, that are fighting to survive. That are the ones that live under the dictatorship of manufactured scarcity and austerity, politically motivated austerity. And because the winners, the ones that they do not care for, they are not they do not they follow and believe in ideologies. They do, but they give primacy to power. That's power. They are motivated by power and control. That's why they need to be wealthy, because in our system, in the system, not ours, because they are not ours, we do not control it, so it's not ours. Wealth is important to achieve positions of power, to buy politicians, and therefore, wealth and power, they know it. It is, most of the time, they use ideology as a tool to manipulate other people's perception. That's what motivates the relevance of ideology. Is not the ideology relevant? Does it play a role in our lives? Of course it does. For most of us, we are ruled by ideology. So they are cynics. They know what they are doing. They play a game. But the game is rigged. It's rigged against us. That's why we should have, and we need to have ideals. We need to fight for values and principles. But ideology is a construction that is often used to manipulate our perception, to control us, to use us. Is not to liberate us. Ideologies are spread or disseminated through narratives, because narratives are the only way, stories are the only way how we understand ourselves, how we establish our relations as a culture, as a society, and our relations with the rest of the world. That's how we understand the world and how we understand ourselves. So there is no way out of this. This is how we work, and that's why it is important. It's not just because the word narratives is overused, kind of, but we need to understand it. That's the main issue. We really need to understand what is the role it plays in giving meaning and purpose to our lives. So it's not just okay, it doesn't matter. There are narratives everywhere of all types, and I just can navigate through it, or I mean, I can be above it. It doesn't work like that. We are. There are some narratives that are dominating, that are dominant in our subconscious system, and they have control over us. They do have control over us. We don't need to be conscious about it. We just need to be conscious, or try to have a conscious analysis of who we are, why we are the way we are, but we need to do it consciously. That is the part that we can use our conscious mind to analyze our profile, let's put it this way, in order to try to understand what really influences our behavior and our perceptions. That comes from not outside, but from what is already inside, as part of the software, as part of the uh, experience, as part of the long-term memories, implicit memories that that are our bio, psycho, affective, uh, cultural, and social identity. So there are people that are more ideologically motivated, which means that they 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 are okay. Let me try to see if I can explain it. Uh, most of us have a tendency for more progressive values and principles, or for more conservative um, and more conservative values and principles, which means, and that changes throughout our life, or can change, or it always changes anyways. Uh, so we can become more radical or less radical, more moderate. You know the drill. Uh, and but the values. So therefore, we might be more open to be influenced by ideologies that reaffirm our values, the values that we believe are right, that we identify with. So we might be more easily controlled or manipulated or instrumentalized by ideologues that use the kind of rhetoric uh, that suits that makes us feel more comfortable, and that we identify with that rhetoric. So ideology is uh, always based in it's always based in values and principles and rules and whatever. It is all there is always. That's why we become prey. We become prey when the ideology becomes more important than the values itself, the values and the principles that are being used to build the narrative, and the narrative is to manipulate us, because that's the problem. I have no problem with narratives, because we cannot just wipe them out. That's impossible. But we need to care about the narratives, because they can be used to manipulate us, or they can be used to liberate us. And unfortunately, the ones that are that have the purpose from the people that design them, create them, try to use them as tools for liberation. They are the ones that usually we despise, or we never give the value that they really have, because they are more, they are usually, they are not as appealing as the ones that are crafted to manipulate us. And that's why we are much more easily uh, uh, we feel more attached to them, because they are more appealing. They do not require from us uh, that we do our homework, that we challenge ourselves, that we question the narratives themselves. You know, we just do not, we have a critical analysis instead of being in the following mode. That's why I say that not about being followers, it's about being agents. And that's why the narratives that liberate us are important. It is, but they are not easy. It is not easy. That's why you need to create a system where the narratives that are truly to liberate us are validated, and are uh, and have really an opportunity to shine. Because in the system we have, they do not have that opportunity. That's why the ideology is for losers. It is for losers because the ideology is to produce losers. It's used to convince all of us that we are losers because we deserve it. So this is not these ideologies, okay, are ideologies to control us. They are used to colonize our minds against ourselves, to convince us that we are liberated by slavery, by following the ones that are going to use us and dump us when they do not need us anymore. And this behavior and this perception of the world, of ourselves and the others and nature and everything else is everywhere. Is our environment, is the water where the fish swims. So that's why we behave the way we behave, and it has been becoming worse and worse since I can remember, since I was a teenager until now, that I'm 64 years old. Um, it has become worse in the sense that we do not care. It's not our business. It's only about the things that, okay, I give you an example. I'm walking where I'm now. I have more or less every day. I do the same kind of. I use the same track in different ways. Sometimes I go from one side. I mean, but it's the same tracks. If I find an injured animal or an abandoned cat, kitten, I mean, or even a cat, a grown-up cat, but imagine that's a kitten, and I listen to the cry of the animals, and I just do not care because it's not my business. Of course it's not my business. It was not me that has done it, but it's about me because I need to feel compassion. I do not need it. I just have to have a culture that creates that need in me, that doesn't not reward the opposite. And that's what we are doing now. We are, we are. By the way, that's the imperialist civilization and class or caste-based societies has always been about that. That we do not care about the suffering of others because we have to be focused on us, on our, on how can we compete with others again. This competition. Um, uh, this is a kind of competition for losers again. We just want to have a little gain, to be better than our neighbor, to get better. And then, so the suffering of others is not our business, but it's not also the business of the state. Because if we do not believe that the state has a job of the equalizer, because if we do not believe that the state should play the role of the social equalizer, um, in as with the universal basic services and all the rest that is required for a functioning society, then we hope the private sector, which supposedly is efficient only when it's about maximizing profits. That is absolutely efficient. I absolutely agree with that. It's not efficient as a provider of services, of universal services, because wherever there is no profit to be made, it's just the service just stop existing, unless there is a law that makes it obligatory. So therefore, we are just trained. Okay, we are trained. We go to school, and you are indoctrinated to become a useful idiot uh, in just pursuing your own interests. You know, you compete with your fellow students, with your fellow citizens, most of the time just for cramps. But it doesn't matter. You just want to do better. You just want to do a bit better than the others around you. What an ideology. This is an ideology. Don't you understand that? That's not, but there are principles here, of course, principles and values, but they are the wrong values to have a healthy and functional society. That's exactly the kind of society that only serves the interests of the few, not to be a society that serves the collective well-being without and with the freedom, the individual freedom, because I mean, this is not an opposite. There is no opposition between the idea of serving the collective good and preserving the individual freedoms that I love. I need them. I'm probably one of these characters that needs. It is essential. My individual freedom is 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 the air I need to survive. That's so. I would not want to have a system that would not allow me, that would make me part of a collective without allowing me to exercise my individual freedom and to be myself responsible to build meaning and to attach purpose to my life, to my existence. That's why we need narratives that spread ideology, that's to liberate us from these ideologies that are proeminent, that are ideologies for losers, that are ideologies to convince losers that they are responsible for being losers, and they just need to change and to adapt and to be more industrious and to be more ingenious and more innovative and have more entrepreneurship and this and that and so forth and so on. And most of us buy into it, and we are exploited. We are transformed into tools, in cogs on a wheel that are not owned by us, that we do not have any agency to use it for our own benefit, but just because it is a profitable enterprise, we just are supposed to commit to it, to comply with it, because that's how the world works. No, the world works the way we understand. If we want our role to be just as followers, which means that we do not have agency in being part of the process of building a society, which means crafting the laws, the designing the institutions, and taking part on the management, because things need to be managed, and there are people who are, that's why we have a class, a social class for that, a social professional class for that. They are called the professional managerial class. They are the ones that work for they work for the elites, or they are some of them are part of the elites, at least part of the 10%, or can be even part of the 1%. And what is their role? Their role is to manage the institutions on behalf of the top 0.1%, to run the state, to run all the institutions that are structural for a functioning state. But that functioning state, it is dysfunctional for us, but is functional for them. And that's why ideology plays the role to tell us that the system is functional. There are problems with the system, but those problems can be solved through reforms, never through a system change, because it's always about a few rotten apples, never about the dysfunctional roots of the system, because because that's exactly that. They are dysfunctional, but they are dysfunctional with the purpose of functioning pretty well for those that are benefiting with them, with how the system works, which are not us. That's why when many people talk about wars, the imperialist wars, and the regime change, and the the U.S. foreign policy. People talk about how fool they are, how misguided they are, how stupid politicians are. It's not because they are not stupid. It's not the point. It can be stupid, but it doesn't matter. They are not doing the beating for to accomplish the goals and the objectives that are supposed to be achieved, which is power, wealth, and control. Not by us, not by the American citizenry, not by the citizens of the countries that are the targets, the countries and the peoples that are the targets, but for that few that belong to the elites. And it doesn't mean that it's only the American elites, because they need accomplices, they need junior partners, and of course they use all types of scams and corruptions and bribery and all the tools to achieve their goals. And for the rest of us, they use the ideology for losers. That's how they use ideology to convince that our condition is to be losers. But again, I have to repeat it again, but it's our fault anyway. So, and this happens in the progressive side of the political spectrum, and then the conservative side. The divide that we should, there are many people that do not get it. This is part of the ideological battle, that don't get that the far left is also ideological, of course, but it is more about being idealist than ideological. And the far right, they are very deeply ideological, and they also believe in the ideology for losers, because they know they don't want to change the system. They don't want to give you the idea they are going to clean, to put order in the system, to end corruption, to end clientelism, and others, that they will not do it, because they are part of the problem, because they do not want a system change. And only the far left, not the center left, but the far left, that in spite of all the stupidity and divisions and also ideological fundamentalism in certain aspects, that the people want real system change, because that's what we need. We just need to define what kind of system change do we really want. That needs to be universal, which means that needs to be not international. We need international institutions. We need the international institutions to assure that we can cooperate, because I mean, again, this is part of the problem that I'm trying to square, and the way I'm trying to frame it in making understanding that this is not an American problem or a European problem or an Asian problem or Chinese, Russian. This is a global issue that humanity faces, which means that are uh, we are in a process of a global change. Some call it that we are going from a unipolar moment to a multipolar world, which I believe it's true. But we need to go beyond it, because we cannot keep following or falling for the same ideological frames, the same narratives that are, we need to understand that we need a universal civilization, not a civilization that is to erase our roots, our civilizational or cultural roots. It's not about that. But it's about recognizing that we cannot continue the same path of the imperialistic civilization paradigm that we have been following for around 10,000 years or something like that. And it is unsustainable, which means that it requires more energy. It is it's it is it cannot, I mean, what we are doing in order to make our civilization, which is already our commodified imperialist civilization, it's already based on the system it has created. It's based on overshoot, which means that we are consuming far fast than the Earth systems can recreate it, that are able to recover. What we are doing is killing the planet, killing the diversity, killing the ecosystems for extractivism. But again, extractivism is not only, it's for the purpose of satisfying the needs of the population, but that's much more beyond than that. Is for wealth accumulation, is for power, is for control. And that's why the system we have is not the purpose of this imperialist civilization, which is shared by almost, if not all, countries. Do not think that China or other countries like, I mean, I don't want to just want all countries follow the same path, because most of them cannot afford to be sovereign in any sense of the word. Most countries are neo-colonies. That's what they are. They do not have any sovereignty, any kind of sovereignty. They have a fake sovereignty. They can wave a flag. They might have a constitution, but in effective terms, who dictates the policies is not them. The economic policy, macroeconomic policies, the fiscal policies, and all the rest is not them. They do not have enough sovereignty to do it. So, because the problem is that we persist following the ideology that determines that are okay to have sacrificial zones, like and sacrificial peoples and territories. Okay, this is again part of the ideology for losers, or to create or to produce losers. That is supposed to be acceptable because it's part of the ideology of the greater good. You know, the greater good is the technological and scientific advancement. Again, technoscientism, another ideology, and technofixism. This is again ideologies that follow the same rule and principle, which is that the competition is for losers. So because all these companies, all these banksters, all these institutions are pursuing monopolies. They want to become monopolies. They don't want competition. They don't want fairness. They just want to use the state institutions in order to protect their interests. So, and this is how the world is organized. That's why we need to fight against another ideology, or if you want to call it a theory, called the great power competition, as if, like Tina, there is no alternative. We cannot come up with any other form of organizing ourselves nationally and internationally, but through this kind of supreme laws. These are not supreme laws. These are not laws that define the human condition. This is nothing to do with the nature of humanity. This is part of, this has been manufactured. These realities are manufactured. They can be changed and they can be challenged. We just need the principles and values to create the narratives that are liberated, that we, because there is the possibility to write, create liberation narratives. You know, they have the purpose just to try to make people have the tools, the intellectual tools, and the ideological tools, the conceptual tools to have a critical analysis of the massive weapons of mass deception that are used against us 24/7. That's why they are effective. Lies are effective because of repetition. That's not because they become truths, okay? Lies don't become truths. They just becomes accepted because they are because we get used to them. They become part of our environment. They become part of who we are. They become the they are they are they colonize us through the narratives that are that become part of our subconscious mind. And this is, to me, these issues are of imperative significance, because if we do not deal with them, how can we deal with the real problems if we do not even understand them, or you don't understand the roots or where they spring from? Because we involve ourselves in the foam of the days, which means that we never understand the part of the iceberg that we cannot see, which is much bigger than the visible part. But we need to understand that. We cannot understand the state if we do not understand and debunk the deep state and the permanent bureaucracy and the power dynamics and all the rest. This is not about choice, that we can pick and choose according to our taste or according to what makes us feel the feeling good, or to reinforce our belief system. This is about facing truth in the pursuit of justice. Otherwise, what is our role here? What are we doing here? I mean, we just are consumers and we just have to perform stupid tasks that make us dumb. Can we have the opportunity to be human beings at least? Or just we have to be dehumanized and imbecilized, infantilized to just survive? That's what we are supposed to be. That's the purpose of life. And then we believe in crap that we go to, like people that go to Bali to clean. I mean, or people that, some people that have the luck to have lives, they can do yoga in the morning and eat avocados for lunch and just go and be fit and go. They do that part of the society, that petty bourgeoisie that we can be of beautiful women and young women and men as well. Just they are very fit. They are the ones that we are supposed to see as role plays, as as the role models for us. Doesn't matter how do they make the money. Is that what we want? A society where the people that makes money are the ones that really just do not do anything that is really part of to satisfy the needs of people. If we have to glorify people, we glorify the ones that take care of us, the ones that produce the food, not only it's not about glorifying the big companies, okay? It's about glorifying the people that work in the fields, in the packaging, and the people that take care of us in hospitals and elderly care or child care, or other people that are doing producing goods and services and providing services that are essential for us. But no, we always see people, what we the main, doesn't matter if it's the legacy media or the alternative media, social media, whatever media, what we glorify, this is part of the democracy for the few and the idiocracy for the many, that we consume and are supposed to and follow and um, these celebrities and these uh, what you call them, uh, these influencers that are supposed to be the new uh, role models for the rest of us. Now that's BS, you know. That's not life. That's not the life of everyday citizen that needs to go out, that needs to stand up early in the morning and work. Especially the ones that really have to do the work that most of us do not want. Ones that build the houses, that fix the stuff, that grow the food, that take care of people and animals and everything else. Uh, because if you look for role models in the professional managerial class, the academic world, in the research, and in these people there are, you can find uh, among them jewels. Of course, there are. I I respect and admire some of them, but they are the minority. And why? Because the system rewards the ones that comply with the BS, the ones that comply with spreading narratives that are exactly the part of the ideology for losers. Okay, that's what it is. They support the societal system, this paradigm that wants people to be dumb, that wants people to be shallow, that wants people to be entertained, not people that is interested in building agency, political, economic, social, and cultural agency, in order that we can build a society and a civilization where participatory democracy and participatory economics is important, uh, and an understanding of life and society and civilization as an holistic ecological process where we all, or all the systems, all the earth systems are important and should be respected. And the human life, the dignity of human life is never questioned, where there is no place for inferior and superior. Where merit as a role, but meritocracy doesn't exist, is not allowed to be part of the problem. Because merit is not, I do not want to bash merit, but I do not want people to be indoctrinated, to be again victims of the meritocratic ideology. Because that's again an ideology for the losers, for losers. To convince the losers, which are most of us, the majority of us everywhere in the world, you might not think of yourself as a loser. I don't see myself as a loser. But according to the system, the values and the principles and the narratives that are spread by the clique, the public relations industrial complex, and the academic and all the, I am a loser. I mean, if I go to a social event, what the people ask you, what do you do for a living, okay? And if you are not part of that club, you know, if you don't have a PhD or a DR or something, or you're not a professor, or you are not this or that, what are your credentials? If you are a cleaner, if you are I mean, if you are part of the working poor, they look at you as if you as if you do not exist, as if you do not have nothing to say, as if you, I mean, because they see you as a loser. They don't see you as a citizen. They don't see you as a human being. They don't see you as an equal. And if you are part of this group and do not understand it this way, and you blame yourself, even in spite of all the failures that you have, the wrong decisions and the bad choices that you have made across your life, I mean, you don't understand that those billionaires, the Peter Thiels of this world, they do not make their wealth by working. They are not good workers. They are not diligent workers. They are scammers. They are scumbags. They really are. It doesn't matter if they look nice or they look like baby faces, like Mr. Bill Gates, that has kind of a baby face or something. Doesn't matter. They are crooks. Again, they use ideology. They even use that ideology of the philanthropic. And so it's that they use the wealth. What kind of philanthropy? Do they want to liberate people? Do they really want? I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly Bill Gates is the guy that owns most the big chunk of agricultural land in the United States. If it's true, why? Why does it have that right? Why doesn't a normal person that wants to live in, doesn't have the right for a piece of land for free? Yes. The important is what he's going to do, not if he owns the land or not. The important is what I want to do, not what you own. but what you want to do with your life. Is it for the collective good, or is it only for the accumulation of wealth, the pursuit of profit in a self-interest way, that you don't care about anything else? That is supposed to be valuable. That is supposed how we save the world. That is supposed that how we create jobs. But when you look to the numbers, the fact is that most jobs are created by the medium and small size and micro size companies, which means that it's not the big companies that do create most jobs. They do collect most rents. Yeah, they are they they are rent seekers. Yeah, that's what capitalism creates. Rent seekers. That's why capitalism ends up being a form of feudalism. That's what Varoufakis calls techno-feudalism. That's what the tech oligarchs. That's why the tech oligarchs are pursuing a techno-fascist state. They can make you believe they are anarchists. They are they. But what is anarcho-capitalism? Do you believe that anarcho-capitalism can exist without the state? What does it mean to be an anarcho-capitalist or a libertarian? Do you even believe that an organized society can exist without the state? What is the state? What is the state? And what should the state be for? We need organization, we need institutions. It's nothing to do with the hierarchy, especially hierarchy based on the power to control, that a few can control the rest of us. We might need to have some form of a hierarchy to organize society, but not a hierarchy that where the few just have the ability to control the rest of us, which means they can transform us into useful idiots. So we need to be above or beyond, and to understand that ideology is for the most part to make us believe that we have the solely responsibility for being losers, and we just have to blame ourselves and adapt to the system and find a strategy to adapt to the system. You just have to comply with the principles, values, and roles. And if you are lucky, and if you are ingenious and innovative, we might find your niche. It's so beautiful that the system will make sure to give you examples of people just like you that made it. You know, they don't tell us usually that is a very small percentage. That very small percentage should be seen, should be perceived as the exception, not the rule. This is exactly why ideology works. They can make us perceive it as if it is the rule, as if it is possible. Therefore, if it is possible, and if I'm not able to achieve it, it's my fault. It doesn't matter uh, the probability to like the same probability that for us to win the lottery is a very small probability. Nevertheless, it's possible. We all know it's possible, but the probability is very, very small. But does it matter? No. What matters is that we look to each other and we see us as losers, or we see the other, at least we perceive the other as loser. Even if we do not accept it for ourselves, we we perceive others as losers, and that is what really matters. How we perceive in this respect, it's very important how we perceive others, because it's this detachment that as if we do not belong to the same class, that we perceive ourselves as kind of belonging to a different class than others that are exactly the same as us. Okay? So, I'm going to end here for today. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon.